Alright, I want to know how the tanks measure up against each other. Now we're gonna test the warrior. The warrior, it is what it is, not great at AoE, but as you have seen from the paladin and the shaman, a great portion of their damage came actually from Thunder Fury and Force Reactive Disc. So let's hope this is a normalizing agent and they'll still be good enough. I don't expect the warrior to necessarily give them a run for their money because his strengths lie in his mitigation and his ability to tank bosses in raids. But we're gonna try and we're gonna see how is he doing, and let's find out who's the best tank. We're gonna try a druid right afterwards. For the druid, well, he doesn't have a legendary per se. Well, he has a couple of them. He has, first of all, ATH, which gives him a very good amount of attack power, and indirectly he also has Umbrathil, which increases his attack speed. I gotta fix whatever weird shit is happening here with the spinning thing. Anyway, so with the Umbrathil, if you trigger it in the cat form, you get 60 seconds of MCP basically, which is 50% attack speed for 60 seconds, as I said. But yeah, the caveat is that you need to do a full combo on the cat in order to proc that. But we're going to see. I'm just going to give them the 50% attack speed and kind of assume the best case scenario and assume that you can handle it or whatever. But yeah, it's, take it with a grain of salt. I don't want to bother implementing the rotation for the companions because whatever, that's on you to do. But just for giggles, to see how it goes. And as you'd expect right off the bat, the warrior is not doing so hot, is it? How could he? Because he doesn't have that many things. Okay, he has Thunderclap, maybe. He's not exactly going. What is he going to do with the Thunderclap? He is tanky as high hell. Yeah, what can you do? Armor wise, if we look at stats, defense, he has 12.5k, so like 12,000 more, 2,000 more than the paladin, which is a few percentage physical damage reduction. But he also has a crazy amount of avoidance at 56%, which is about I don't know, 25% more than the shaman. So very, very, very high defensives, as you'd expect. So don't really think this guy will die in any situation. He's just going to live on and on and on and on. He can take quite a lot of beating. We can probably send him to pull even more dudes, because what does he care? He does not. Yeah, Force Reactive Disc absolutely helps him. AoE is his biggest weakness, and simply being able to just tap the enemies a little bit. It's not like Force Reactive Disc does some absolutely bananas damage. Well, it does, like in the long run. And because also the warrior blocks so often, he's basically the best suited for just getting so many procs from this item. And you can see the damage is starting to go up, which is very surprising. Well, it's more like the more enemies you send them to fight. Well, I'm also pausing the DPS quite a lot, but nonetheless, this is normal. You should pause your DPS. Either way, he is just on a roll and he does not want to stop at all. And actually, see the movement speed increase from the final stage of Thunder Fury. Okay, if you look at Thunder Fury, the last one says on proccing Thunder Fury, which is the chain lightning thing, you and your party members will receive 30% movement speed buff for 12 seconds. And you see how useful this is for him as well. And yeah, I guess he's very, very strong. You can clearly see the difference. Like, you are not shy on sending this guy into tank whatever you want. Like, this guy will absolutely just take a lot of punishment, okay? He does not care whatsoever, like at all, man. This guy is like, nope, I don't care, is something tickling me. I don't feel it, brevs. Just so much avoidance and so much mitigation and block chance and whatnot that, yeah. Yeah. The priest is like, I'm gonna win now. Yeah, that didn't happen previously with the shaman or the paladin. It is what it is, yeah. It's a warrior. His damage is not as high by any stretch of the imagination. The other ones had, I don't know, like 15-20% over the DPS guys. He does not, but he's not sweating any bullets here. He's definitely very chillaxed. He's got this. I suppose my biggest concern and curiosity would be the bear. How does the bear fit into all of this? For example, here, the paladin would drop 1 consecration and all of these dudes would basically be very much dead. So, yeah, you have to figure out on your own what you like and what you need and that sort of thing. If you're using some kind, if you're a melee DPS yourself like a warrior and you like to have Wind Fury Totem or some such, then, you know, go with the shaman, man. What I'm really looking for is to see if the dudes are viable and they can get the job done and they actually work and it's all good. And whatever spell you need from them or whatever kind of support you need from them, at least you have the option, right? You have options. You can say, I want the warrior, I want a shaman, whatever. If they're all decent at what they do, then all the better for you, because then you just choose based on your preference, whatever you need. Let's also do the crazy pull in the middle with all the mage dudes up ahead, because I'm curious if this guy can do it. I said in the previous video that he can. Well, let's find out, shall we? And he has a lot of cool stuff, like this revenge stuff that stuns the enemies. So much mitigation, dude. So much. Let's actually let's do. I think we did it on all the guys, so let's stay consistent and just do it. Just do the same things, so we know what to expect. Have very consistent test bench. But I can tell you from experience, a warrior tank is normally not ideal for a mage warlock combination, because when they start to do AoEs, he almost always loses aggro. He has to go all over the place. So Force Reactive Disc, absolute banger, is doing great work. Yeah, look at this. Like, just proccing Force Reactive Disc as he was charging when this other guy pulled this other guy to him as well. Like, just in that moment, okay? Helps a ton. Especially if you have more than one extra dude. Just the danger here in this particular scenario is because typically he goes behind these boxes, and when that happens, you're just going to line of sight the healer, so it's kind of bad news. I have to figure out what's going on with the targeting. It's not cool, man. That targeting is busted. But yeah, he's handling this way better. Way better, man. Like, he is not caring whatsoever about nothing. Absolute hero. Let's kill the boss if he spawns or spawned or is about to spawn. We're doing a little bit more here. Damage very close. I can tell you from experience, without Thunder Fury and without Force Reactive, holy shit, 52. Oh my god, that's half his damage. You can just imagine halving that bar basically, but that's how normally would look like. And it would be kind of even more distressing because he cannot reliably hold aggro in AoE situations against Mage and Warlock. That is not a thing, okay? Sorry, but it does not happen. But Jesus, oh my god. Thunder Fury is 15%, but Force Reactive Disc 50%, man, come on. That is just bananas. Okay, so if I put the results from the previous dudes, okay, so we can see the Shaman and the Paladin and the Warrior, and you can see relatively to the casters, the Paladin is the furthest guy away just because he has baked in AoE, so it's just completely ridiculous. You can see Consecration absolutely topping, like the first thing after Force Reactive Disc. And for the Shaman is the auto hits, right? Lots of auto hits. What can you do? And for the Warrior, the same thing, auto hits. I would say the Shaman does better with auto hits just because he has Frenzy or whatever. The thing, when he crits, he gets an attack speed increase. So just typically would do more damage with the auto hits. But yeah, more or less what I would expect. So cool. Let's go out and start the Druid. We're gonna kick out the Warrior and we're gonna get one piece of Druid. Reset this. Let me take a screenshot of the result just so we can compare it. Give me a second. If only my computer would cooperate, please. Okay. Computer has cooperated. Okay. Let me hide these results. We're gonna add the Warrior later. Did we reset? Let's go back to strat and do the Warrior. Do the Druid, and let's reset also this. And if you look at him, you see he has the MCP haste applied, so that's 50% haste. No, naturally you wouldn't have this all the time if you're playing with the dagger. You need to proc it, so it's a little bit more complicated. So you definitely wouldn't have 100% uptime. But you know, just to see perhaps the potential, okay? And then how you make that happen depends, or if you can make that happen even. But yeah, the bear does not have great AoE. He has some swipe ability that does kind of negligible AoE. But what he does have is pretty high single target damage. And his rotation is rather simple, and it's just that he's pretty... Well, you kind of know what to expect from him, which is not much, but what he does do is pretty well, which is hit very hard and very fast. And like, he's gonna hit it like he means it, practically. And he's also pretty tanky. Let's just pull some more. What's his armor like? His armor is like 12.2k, so about 500 less armor than the Warrior. Fine. His avoidance is 20%. So what was the tank like? 50 something percent? He was like 50, 56, something like this. I don't remember exactly. Okay, so definitely a lot more. He's actually, the avoidance is more or less akin to the Shaman. The Paladin surprisingly has the worst avoidance, but then again, I built him around the spell power thing, so yeah. Make of it what you will. Anyway, the bear seems to be doing fine so far. His damage is, well, you could say comparable to the Warrior. I think eventually it'll become maybe even better, I'm not sure. Or maybe not. Or maybe not. Lots of AoEs. yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to keep up too much. And I think it's just because you can see most of his damage comes from Maul, and Maul is single target. And Swipe is barely doing some. Whereas Force Reactive Disc is practically just bananas on steroids. Really, really ridiculous. Right, the way he manages to hold aggro is by using Demoralizing Shout, if that's what it's called. And just as he's moving between enemies, he's just casting Demoralizing Shout, and that just gets their attention a little bit. The warrior does it as well, but the difference is the warrior you saw in the previous run, he had a very easy time because once he charged in, he would block and immediately he would just spray electricity everywhere and would get the attention even of the stragglers. So that's very, very good. Yeah, he definitely falls out in AoE situations. I was concerned about this, but what can I tell you? What can I tell you? If, say, the warrior didn't have the Force Reactive Disc, and you saw that the FDR provided him like 50% damage increase, which is half his damage, man. The bear would practically just deal more damage than the warrior. Kind of is what it is. I mean, you can definitely compensate a little bit. You can use what is that immolation oil? Yeah, you can chug an eternal immolation oil thingy poops, and that would definitely help a big way, just because it passively deals damage around you. And yeah, it's more or less just very, very useful way to passively gather these dudes around. So right now just proc it once, because you just need to tap it once. You don't have to do too crazy. Just tap it once and then Demoralizing Shout at them, and then he's gonna swap, and he's got very good single targets, so he would manage pretty well. I mean, he's already doing very well. I think the only one who doesn't handle this too well, AoE situation like this, would be the warrior without these items, practically. But yeah, he's pretty tanky, just like the warrior is. So he's not very concerned. Though I'm surprised as to why he's on full rage. Like, what's that about? Kinda strange, man. I have to look at his rotation a little bit. Basically, he should just be mauling on... he is. And he's still generating that much rage. He's mauling and he's swiping and growling. He's doing the things. Let me add the result from the warrior while we're waiting here. And we're gonna look at these at the end. I don't remember if you drink an oil of immolation, because I will try. even an eternal oil of immolation. Oh, he does use it too. Cool. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. Yeah, so you can see just by passively being around them, it just hits them with the oil. And now he's having much easier time holding aggro. Yeah, he's doing fine. Yeah, I'm so used to the casters dying in this situation that I'm surprised they managed to stay alive. Done this many times, and usually they die, especially the warlock. The warlock's the crazy one. Okay. His rotation is very, very simple. Just charge in, demoralizing roar, some growls if he needs to get aggro back. He might use fairy fire sometimes, but mostly just maul, and if there are, I think, 2 or 3 enemies, he might also do a swipe. So nothing too crazy or complicated or anything like that. And you see he managed to get aggro just by using demoralizing roar, so he is trying to use this as sort of an AoE straggler type of ability, just to group them together. But yeah, pretty damn tanky, I would say. The Shaman and the Paladin, even though they did more damage, they were definitely more squishy. The Bear is not. You can just rely on him, basically. If the boss... Oh, we need to kill this and then the boss will spawn. Nonetheless, I think the point stands that the AoE from the Force Reactive Disc is absolutely crazy. And it's really tough to beat it. Which puts the Bear into sort of a... well, that Fire Shield didn't really do that much after all. It's... well, it's a little bit, and we didn't use it from the very beginning, so it's maybe not the best representation, but nothing too crazy either. pull up all the images. Let me move them around a little bit. So, in conclusion here today, what do we have? Well, exactly more or less what we expected. Well, I should say that to some degree I am relieved that the Shaman and the Paladin did rather similarly, perform similarly. I am not surprised about the Warrior. Well, I am surprised because normally he's just the worst in DPS department, so he will normally be the last one. Just dead last. The bear is usually among the best, I would say, even without these items. Like the bear would, just typically speaking, if you didn't have too much AoE and stuff, he would be the best. If you had a lot of AoE stuff, then the paladin would be the best, followed by the bear. And actually, if we really think about the shaman, well, it depends on how many AoE situations there are, but if there's a bit more, or if it tends to be more on the side of single target, then the shaman would actually be the number one. So that's usually how it goes. Yeah, I think it is in fact more or less how it should be, except that for the bear it kind of is a little bit on the low side, because his AoE is not really up there. Still, it's crazy to see the absolutely ginormous amount of damage you deal with Force Reactive Disc, especially on the Warrior. Like, that guy just doesn't deal a lot of damage, dude. I mean, he's tanky, so you can send him to pick up 3 packs or 4 packs at once. He can handle that. But, yeah, just the damage department is normally not his forte. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. What do you think about this distribution of damage? And what is your favorite tank? Do you think the bear should be doing more damage? Or do you think perhaps the other should be doing less? That's also a possibility. Anyway, see you next time.